Okay, so it's part 3 of lesson 4. We've got our Express generator site running. So I asked everybody before the break to create a method and a view for contact. So what would I need in my controller to load my contact page? How'd you do it if yours is running? Squinders, yours running? So what do I have here? Yep, so I use get. Yep, so I'll write my anonymous callback. Yes, we'll render the contact page. And what value should I pass? Okay, and what should I print as a message? Okay. Whatever message. Okay, so there's my controller method. Raj?
Was it when I type something like phone number, my name, email? So can I use like HTML tag in there, or should I go to view? Or
you're probably best off to put the formatting in the view, right? Because we're doing the separation. This is really just the logic. And typically, if the content is static, we're probably just going to put it directly in the view. We're only doing it this way for today, just so we can get used to the mechanics of how do we take server-side values and pass them. So yes, we could include HTML in that string, but probably best just to hard code that into the view. Okay, creating the view should be really simple. I'll just create a new file called contact. And I'll actually just copy all my HTML from my about. We've already got title and message embedded in our script. NodeMon restarts, so now we should be able to go contact as well. So we got 3 pages. So we've created these as entire HTML files. We're not going to do full HTML files with all the way from the doc type to the bottom again. We will later in the course. What we'll do is we're going to make a new version of this. So we're going to build out an application that's got probably 8 to 10 pages. We've got home, about, contact. Then we're going to have pages for, an index view, an add, and edit, delete. Eventually, when we use Angular, we're going to recreate this whole thing as a single page application. So we can view the cars, add, edit, delete all on one page with no refresh. But that will be later in the course. Okay, so we want to create a header and footer, and much like we did with our PHP files and Visual Studio did automatically, we're basically going to want to move all of this to a header. We're going to want to move this to a footer. Then we're going to build a little Navbar. We'll add Bootstrap so we can navigate around. Okay. So the way we typically do this inside of views, now right now all our views are in the root folder, which is okay. Eventually, when our site gets big, we would normally create subfolders, right? So, and in fact, we'll do that later. So these will be our public pages, just like with Visual Studio, they are in the home. We just put them right in the root, but later on when we create a separate views for cars, we'll create a views cars subfolder. And all those views for add, edit, delete cars will go in there. So we're going to create a different subfolder for now. I'm going to create inside of views. We're going to create a new directory called partials. So partial meaning it's a part of a page. It's not a complete page. So these are our shared components.
you can call it shared.
Yeah, you know what? Sure. Let's call it shared instead. Matches what we had in MVC. You could call it include, any name you like. I think shared is good. So now inside is shared. Let's make 2 views, header and footer. So we'll make a new EJS file called header. It sets out all this HTML. What should we get rid of here if this is the header?
body and HTML.
Yeah, let's get rid of those last two tags. There's our header, nice and simple. Our title will still, we'll come back to the title. Sorry. Let's save. And now let's make footer. So one more EJS file called footer. What are we going to keep in here? Yeah, we'll just keep the ending tags. So let's just delete. Now, WebStorm's going to complain about this, right? Because now we've broken up our tags. That's okay. It doesn't know what we're doing. We know what we're doing. So now let's go to our home page. Sorry, let's go to our index.ejs. So all of this stuff, now it has a style sheet link, actually. We didn't even look at what's in the style sheet, in public style sheets. Not much there. There's just a basic body tag. So let's delete all of that, everything up to line 7. And let's replace it with a reference to the header, right? We'll link the header in. So we'll use a server-side EJS tag. And header. So let's embed the header at the top. We may as well do the same thing at the bottom.
Would you write in EJS? They want you to.
In the file path, I believe we need to. We'll try it, and then we'll take it out, and we'll see. So this looks fairly similar to what we did back in our PHP class, right? Include the header at the top, include the footer at the bottom. So I'm going to go back to my home page now. It looks the same. My page content looks the same. There's only one thing that changed. What's missing? When I go back to my root. Well, it still loads, but one thing is different now. Something got removed that was visible before. What disappeared? Come on. Right. Our title, notice it just shows the URL. The title is not included in our header. So we need to put that back. Right? In our about and contact, we have this title in our header. When we created the new file, our template wiped that out. So we want to put that back. If I add that back to my header and refresh my home page, the browser tab will say car tracker again. Right? I refresh, and now my tab says car tracker. So I want you to make the same changes to your about view and your contact view. Take out the HTML at the top and bottom and include your header and footer. Rob, what happens if you take out those extensions? Does it work? I guess I'll try it on mine. If I take out the EJS extensions, we'll see whether that still works. I don't think it will. But I'm wrong. Okay, great. If we don't need them, you can take them out. If they're that you want to include the extensions, no problem. I guess this will work so long as there's no other file in shared called header. If you have like a header.png as well, then we'll have a problem. Then it doesn't know what we're linking to. Correct. But I'm always in favor of less code rather than more. We can accomplish the same thing with less code, use less code. So we'll go to contact. If you use the code completion tool, it actually does put the extension in. Your choice. We'll do that in about, and we'll do it in, sorry, I did it in contact. Does help to avoid errors. Either way. So we really haven't had to do very much to set up a mini 3-page site. We ran the tool, we added 2 methods, we added 2 views, we stuck on a header and footer. So we shouldn't see any changes about, still loads with our title, contact, still loads. So now let's just create in our header. Let's download and install Bootstrap, and we can create a quick Navbar and add a little formatting to this. And then we'll deploy it. Now we could go to the Bootstrap. There's lots of different ways we could get Bootstrap. We could use a tool like Bower. We could use a tool like Webpack. We could just download the raw file. There may be an NPM package for it. I thought there was, but that's Bootstrap for Webpack. We may just wind up downloading it. Their search isn't so good. Twitter-Bootstrap. So npm I Twitter-Bootstrap. Let's install that. So I'm going to have to stop my server for a minute, or else open up another command window in this directory. I'll just stop the server. Hit Control-C to stop it, and we'll install Bootstrap. npm I Twitter-Bootstrap. I'm just following the command on npm. So there's no dependency, so it just adds the one package. And if modules, okay, maybe we didn't want to install it that way because I don't actually see the CSS file. We have to use less to compile it, which I don't want to do. That's too much work. Okay. I'll just go to the Bootstrap site, download the minified file.
How about we just give a link?
You can. You could use the content, the CDN. The downside of the CDN is you don't get the code hinting. When you type class equals in your EJS file, when the style sheet is remote, it won't give you the classes. If we download it locally, you'll get code hinting, which makes it easier. So I'm just going to I'll just go to the get Bootstrap. Yeah, that'll be to get the SAS. I'll just download it, which I think will be easier. So actually, I'll save this into my project directory. I'll save it into public and style sheets, and then we'll open it up. There may be some things in here we don't need or we want to move around, but we'll save it there. And I'll just extract it all. So we've got some CSS and we have some JavaScript. So I'll just take everything in the CSS folder and just move it up into the style sheets directory. No, we don't need all of this. That's all right. So I'll just paste that in. And then I'll go into the JavaScript and put all that stuff in public and JavaScript. Then I will get rid of my zip in these two folders. We really only care about this, the minified Bootstrap. If we just wanted that file, that's fine. So now in my header, let's add a link. Now you notice our public is outside of our views. So to get the path right, I think we have to start it with a slash because public is outside of, they're in separate folders. So I think we want public style sheets, and I'll use the minified Bootstrap. We'll see if this path is right. It should be. We can easily tell by restarting our server and seeing whether the font changes from Times New Roman. If it did, obviously it found the correct style sheet. Well, run the npm start command again. And now we can just check it out. Okay, I get a 404 not found. So obviously, here's the problem. It's got public in my path. It's a useful thing to note. If I go back to my app.js, it sets up the static path. So path for static files is already in public. So I don't need the word public as part of my path. It's already set up to point to public. So in here, I think I can just do it this way because it already starts as in public. We'll try that. Yeah, obviously that worked. We get a different style. So we don't never have to include that path public to our images, our CSS, or our JavaScripts. We just reference the images, JavaScripts, or style sheets folder. And if you don't like these names, if they're too long and you want to rename those to, IMG, JS, CSS, that's fine. Go ahead. No, it's already configured in app.js. That's where your public files are. So now let's build a little quick navigation.
you want to folder.
Sorry?
So if you use something like Bower, you want to initiate it on your public folder rather than another.
Yes. Okay, so in the body, let's put in a nav tag. First, we'll add a few links, then we'll just style it with Bootstrap. Okay. We'll put in 3 links. Actually, first we'll just make them static. We won't even make them links. We'll just put 3 items in the list. We'll just create it like this, and then we'll turn them into links, and then we'll style it. So all our pages will now have these 3 items. So it'll just appear as a regular bulleted list for now. We'll fix that in a minute. So each page now shows these 3 things. We can turn them into links. Our first link just goes to the root. Now our nav bar, it isn't going to look good, but it's actually going to be functional. Right? We've got 3 links in there. Each one will be clicked. It calls a certain URL path, and then our controller loads the correct view. And so now I can navigate around here. We don't need to do this full nav bar. We can maybe just do a simple nav bar. If we use the CDN, you wouldn't get this. We'll give it a nav bar light for our bar. And our UL gets the class of navbar-nav. It should get rid of the bullets, and it should expand our list across the top of the page rather than stacking them vertically like a content list. Obviously, we're still missing a couple things. Oops, this is nav bar. I think.
Is that column width or the Navbar expand?
I think we need, these may need the nav item class on the list items. See if that helps us. That's interesting. I'm not entirely sure why our links aren't appearing across the page yet. Obviously, we're missing something. That's a possibility. Let's look in the console. Normally it does want it, but we're not getting an error. I'll have to think about that. I'm obviously better with Bootstrap 3 than I am with Bootstrap 4. We'll also add to and this one's also going to have a Navbar brand. We'll make it bigger. Yeah, so our home link is bigger. I'll have to figure out why it's not going across the page. I won't take too much time today. I can fix that up, and we can go over that next week. At least we have a header. And we can create a simple footer down at the bottom as well. Before our closing body, let's create a footer tag. I'll just put something in here again. We can use Bootstrap later to format this. We just want to make sure this loads on every page at the bottom. We can align it and make it look better later. Whoops, and that should be an ampersand. Want it to generate the copyright symbol with ampersand copy. Okay. So there's our site. We'll deal with fixing up the formatting a bit later. I'm sure it's a simple fix. I'll post it to GitHub later once I resolve it.
I think you have to add a in nav class Navbar expand large. Maybe that one. Maybe there, yes.
And large?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Then you have to add Navbar item. Right there. I like Navbar brand. Not there. In LI.
In the LI, what do I need?
Navbar brand. Right.
Well, brand is only for it. Actually, this first one generally in their sample is not even an LI. The home link, they actually move that and put that before the list like that, I think. If I look at their, oops, so this should be class equals nav. Right?
The MR dash on it.
Which link?
To the UL.
How do you guys know more about CSS than I do? All right, our spacing's not great, but good enough for now.
All you have to class nav link. That's it. I think. In
The nav link.
Oh.
yeah.
Thank you. All right, that should be a little better. Thank you. Much better. So there's our little 3-page site. Okay. Let's deploy this. So I'm going to stop my server, create a new Git repository, and I'm going to upload this to GitHub, and then we'll try and connect it to both Azure and Heroku if we have time to do both. I'll just keep updating this same repository each week. So I'll create it. I'll do the README file maybe later. So now we'll go to my command prompt and run a few of these commands to get our stuff online. So I'm going to initialize Git. I'll use git add dot to add all my files. It's not that many because remember we have the git ignore. -m. That's lesson 4. Now I'll copy and paste these 2 lines. We'll connect it to my remote and push. So now everything's on GitHub, and we can try to put it first on Azure, and if we have time, we could also try to put it on Heroku. So I'm going to log into my Azure portal. And I'm going to create a new site just like we did. We don't have to do anything differently. There is an option to create a node site. We don't actually need to pick that. We can just pick website. So just like we did last semester, we'll create a new web app. I'll call it COMP2106 car tracker. And then I'll just connect it up to the GitHub repository the same way we did this last semester. I know I'm going fairly quickly. I am recording it. I just want to make sure I get through it all because I also want to give you your lab before we go. So once it's set up, I'm going to go to the deployment options section and just connect it to my GitHub repository. Sometimes Azure's a bit finicky with hosting our node sites. If so, I'll go through it on Heroku as well. Sometimes it's a little easier there. So I'll just connect to GitHub. Connect to my card tracker and see if it will deploy. This may or may not work. If it doesn't work, I'm just going to go over to Heroku and we'll try deploying it there. Heroku is a cloud service and they will give you free sites, 5 sites for free.
Easy to deploy on.
Super easy. I'm going to go through it. So now it says it's active, so that's good. If I just go to overview and click my link, we'll see if it actually loads. If not, I won't worry too much about it. We'll just try the other server and I'll have to figure out where my issue lies here. Okay, I'm going to let that run. We'll come back to it and see if it ever completes. It loaded, but generally I've found, and my students have found in the past, Heroku seems a little friendlier to us. So let's go there. Here's the website. Go to Heroku.com. H-E-R, so hero, K-U.com. Takes you here. The sign up takes like 1 minute. I think it wants your name, your email, and a password, and it will send an email to you to verify. You can use any email. It doesn't have to be a student email. Doesn't matter. Anybody can get a 5-account free site. So here's all you need to do. Sign up. Yeah, first name, last name. Company name is optional. You can pick student. And it will send you a verification link, which it'll send right away. Yeah, they update it. Now I've used 5 free ones already, so I need to delete one. Okay, I got to delete. Delete my app from last year so that I have room to create a new one. Okay. So make sure you check your email as soon as you're done signing up. You should have a account confirmation link already come to you. Does anybody have that yet, or are you still working on that? Sorry?
Yeah, I got it.
You got it? Okay. So once you log in, pretty simple. You can go to the main, you log in, I think you get this main page, click on new. Create new app. Give it a name. So I'll call mine, okay, it's available. Use my name and I'll click create. So the app's set up. And how do we want to deploy? From GitHub, just click GitHub, sign into GitHub, pick your repository. I'm already logged in, so it finds my account. I can start typing, or I can search. So it finds the repository and you just click connect. You'll only have to put your GitHub credentials in once, just like the Azure portal. It'll store your Git login. So every other time you come back here, it knows who you are. So I click connect. I'm going to click enable automatic deploys. So if I push new versions to GitHub, it gets updated. And then I just click deploy. And it does the same as Azure. It tries to build. It'll tell us when it's done and we can try and load it. Our site's pretty tiny, so this shouldn't take very long. All right, cool. It says we're deployed. Now we'll see whether it loads or not. If it doesn't load, we'll address it a bit later. Let's see. Awesome. Okay. Obviously, there's something else we need to do in terms of deployment, which I don't have time to do right this minute. So here's what we're going to do. I think I put it up here. There are a couple of links here for using Azure. What I'll do is I'll figure out what I did wrong, and I'll either create a video or send the instructions out to everybody, okay, as to what we need to do in order to fix it. It's not much, small thing. I haven't deployed for a while, so I just need to kind of refresh what I did. I do want to give you your lab. Now for the lab, I should be able to figure out in the next couple of hours, I have office hours, I should be able to figure out how to fix the deployment. If I send you the fix for the deployment, then I want you to deploy your lab. Okay, if I don't send you the fix, then you just give me the Git repository and I'll run it all locally. Here's what you have to do for your lab. It's pretty simple. It's lab 2. We did lab 1 already. Did we not? Yeah, the rock, paper, scissors was lab 1. Okay. So you're going to use the Express generator to create a lab 2 site using EJS. And make sure you use git ignore as well. Okay? So just call it lab 2. And you're basically going to do exactly what we did in class today, except you're going to make a mini Express site about your family. Okay? So create a shared header and a footer. And each person in your nuclear family, like parents, siblings, their first name should be a link. When I click their name, write one sentence that tells me something about your family, okay? So if it was my site, it would look, my Navbar would look like this. Yes, my parents really have truly awful names. I have a brother named Paul, so the Navbar says Ethel, Harold, Paul, and Rich. And you need to write 4 roots, right? Map, or however many people are in your family. So I'll go to localhost 3000. When I click this, it would print out a message telling me something about that person in your family. Okay. So then create a lab 2 repository, submit it to GitHub. If we can get it, if I can fix the deployment, then I will want you to deploy and give me the link. Right. So ideally to mark it, I just want to click on your link, click on each member of your family, learn a bit about your families. Okay, you can add Bootstrap if you want. You don't have to. I don't care if there's any style to it. So you've got the header and the footer. If you have a huge family, if you have 10 siblings, you don't need to do 15 pages. Just pick your 2 favorite siblings and add them, or your 2 most interesting siblings. Okay, so you can follow my code from today, my repository today, use the generator, write those few methods in your controller, build the views, tell me something about the people in your family. Okay, so you have a couple days to do that. This isn't going to take very long. This won't take longer than an hour to do. Okay, so it's not due until Thursday night. You have 2.5 days. So do this first, because it's good practice. Once you've set this up on your own, setting up assignment 1 will be easy. Use the generator, set it up, put it on GitHub, invite me, and your assignment 1 part 1 link is done. You have until next Wednesday for that. Okay, and then you've got it set up. You basically have everything you need to do all of assignment 1. Use the generator, create the portfolio with the header and footer that shows off your work. Okay, like I said, I will post instructions for fixing how we deploy. I do have office hours for a couple hours now if anybody needs help. Okay, it may be because of NodeMon. We have NodeMon in app.js, and NodeMon is a development tool. It doesn't run in production. So we may have to take NodeMon out in order to work it. That's going to be the first thing I'll try. I'll let everybody know what the fix is. I will find it. Okay. Enjoy your extended weekend next weekend.